very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. I'm Ritwika Gupta, and today is truly a special occasion as we celebrate Women's Entrepreneurship Day here on Leaders of Tomorrow, a day dedicated to recognizing and supporting women entrepreneurs. Tonight we have an exclusive conversation with a remarkable individual, an acclaimed artist, philanthropist, industrialist and entrepreneur. She currently leads the Poonawalla Group of companies and is one of the few successful industrialists in India who also has a deep connection to the arts. Her work has been showcased internationally, and today, of course, we'll discuss her journey, her passion for the arts, India's manufacturing landscape, and of course, advice for entrepreneurs. On the show tonight, and for the very first time on ET Now, I'll be speaking with Michelle Poonawala, Director of the Poonawalla Group, Managing Director of Poonawalla Engineering Group, and Director of Michelle Poonawala Designs and Architecture. Listen in. I'm now joined live by Michelle Poonawala. Michelle, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Ritwika, for calling me on the show. It's going to be a pleasure to talk to you.
Now, Michelle, with your extensive experience and strategic insights at Poonawalla Engineering Companies, could you give us a big picture view of the manufacturing industry in India? How has that evolved over the years?
I think manufacturing in India has greatly evolved over the years, with multinationals also coming into India. The Indian companies have also started integrating a lot of practices into our businesses, with things like digital technology coming in. And we incorporate that not only for office systems, but also to ease our production. Automation and best practices are also used in companies. And with the government encouraging Indian companies by the Make in India campaign, it's also been greatly making our industry go forward.
Sure. Michelle, can you share some examples of key strategic initiatives and international joint ventures that have been crucial for the Poonawalla Engineering Companies? How have these influenced the company's growth and innovation?
So we in the Poonawalla Group, as you know, it's a very diversified group with many different verticals. In the engineering sector, we always look to better ourselves and to move with what the future market is and what the market requires. We're constantly adding new products to our ranges, be it our valves or actuation or our systems. But we also are looking at tying up with different companies that are associated with our company. The companies that we actually are looking to associate with are ones which will have an environmental impact. They also will be sustainable, and they will create a lot of jobs for India. Besides that, we also are looking to support some startups in India. And they are also startups with very progressive thinking. And I think it's important to always keep evolving as a company and keeping up with the times.
Right. So how would you say, how does India fit into the global manufacturing landscape? What are the country's strengths and challenges in this sector?
So in India, it's very positive for us because we have a very skilled workforce. Language in India is not a barrier because English is, widely spoken. So when multinationals come into the country, it's easy for them to do business. We have extremely talented engineers and designers, and the location makes it very easy for export. And we also focus on quality, efficiency, and sustainability. And I think that greatly helps us.
And some of the challenges, if you could talk to us about?
So, some of the challenges that used to be challenges, but now the government is working towards it, say connectivity, getting certain permissions without delay. Those are a few challenges. Every country has its challenges, but I think the positives are more than the negatives.
Sure. So shifting gears a little bit, and because of your immense involvement in this space, I'd like to ask you, how do you view the current landscape of design and architectural innovation in India?
So, as everybody knows, architecture, design, and the landscape of India is greatly changing. It has greatly changed over the past few years. We see all the coastal roads coming in Mumbai, and I think in the next, say, 15 to 20 years, we're also going to see a lot of redevelopment happening of a lot of the old buildings. Our architectural firms are, I think, on par with any international architectural firms, and the quality of our buildings and spaces is also very high. Sometimes when I visit other countries and I see the buildings over there, and I see the buildings even in Pune that there are, or say Mumbai, the quality and standard of the building is so high that I think we are moving towards development in this area.
So what trends or shifts do you find the most promising or challenging?
So, of course, challenging is that we have many old buildings, especially in places like Mumbai, which obviously need redevelopment, and that is a challenge. But the government is greatly supporting this, and they give a lot of benefits to people who want to do this.
So Michelle, shifting the focus to you, I want to understand, if you could share how you balance aesthetics with functionality in your designs, and how has that approach contributed to creating iconic spaces?
So for me, the planning of a place is very important. Once you have the planning right, most things go right. Um, I'm someone who believes in timelessness, and I believe that the design that is chosen should be timeless, because you don't want things that are, going to go out of trend in a few years and things like that. Quality is extremely important for me, and I'm one to see the aesthetics also of the surrounding area. I'm very passionate about landscape as well, and I'm very excited with taking up a few projects in this field now.
Right. Michelle, your artistic journey is equally fascinating. You're known for blending traditional and digital techniques. How would you describe your approach?
So for me, like in my business, it's always important to be forward thinking and to see what is happening around us. Um, Digital technology is very important for me, and I think that that is the way the world is moving towards. And if you see today, even a child of 2 or 3 is picking up an iPad and able to use it. And if we don't speak the language of the people that are going to view the art, then they're not going to be very interested. My art, if I may add, besides traditional techniques that I use, a ruler technique which was taught to me by my grandfather, I also started incorporating digital art, and I wanted my art to have a powerful voice. Um, when I do anything, I like to make an impact. And I think what a person feels, they remember. And I don't know if you're aware, but I had an installation called introspection. And introspection for me is a very important thing, be it in terms of violence in the world, be it in terms of water scarcity, be it in terms of climate change. I always want to ask people to introspect and see where we are going as humanity. And I also did two projects. One was the elephant parade, which was to conserve the Asian elephant, which was, in association with Queen Camilla and King Charles. And another one was the Tiger Parade, which was in association with Sotheby's and WWF. So for me, art is much more than a painting on a wall. It is something that you can use as a voice.
It's time for a quick break here, but don't go anywhere, as on the other side, Michelle shares her formula for success and much more. Welcome back to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. Tonight we are celebrating Women's Entrepreneurship Day and bringing you an exclusive conversation with Michelle Poonawala. Tell us, how did you develop your passion for the arts? What's the story behind it? Did it start in childhood?
Yeah, so there's always a story, and for me, my grandfather was an architect and art was his passion. He was a very famous builder in South Mumbai, and he made most of Mumbai's very famous residential buildings. So I've always grown up with art and architecture around me. Ever since I was young, and I would, go to the office on the way home from school, I'd see my grandfather sketching. And my grandfather was a visionary. He always believed, he had many theories in art. He believed that art was not meant to be just like a Renaissance painting anymore. He believed that now we have cameras to do that. So why would you paint a painting which looks exactly like what it's supposed to in nature? And he had many forward ways of thinking, and he would say, like, he had his own color alphabet, which he said, like, you could see a painting and you should be able to read the qualities of a person. And of course, that has been a very big influence in my life for my design, architecture, and art, because not only was my grandfather an architect, but my father is also an architect. So it's literally been in my blood. And when my grandfather passed away, my father put together a book on all of his writings and his teachings. And my grandfather shared his very prized technique, which was with a ruler and oil paint, only to me. And nobody else in the whole world knows how to do it. So when he did that, and I was the next artistic person in the family, I just felt and I thought to myself that, it's my duty to take it forward, and it's my duty to take it to the next step. And if he's left this with me, then, I have to do something about it.
Fantastic. Michelle, our show is called Leaders of Tomorrow, and I always ask my guests, what does being a leader mean in today's world? So I want to toss that question to you too. What personal qualities define leadership for you?
Yes, there are some qualities a leader has to have. Strength being the most important. You have to be resilient in your approach. A leader is like a captain of a ship, I think. And actually, say a captain of a ship in a crisis, you can either pull the ship through or you sink. And a great leader is one that is able to pull you through crisis, is very balanced, is very determined. You have to be inspiring to your team. And a great leader it's not only about yourself, it's about carrying your team and making them believe and dream in your own dream. And I was also thinking about this when you said leader. And there's something which is a leader, and then there's something which is called a visionary. And I think a visionary is different to a leader. You can be a leader of a department, you can be a leader of a company. But when you're a visionary, you think far beyond that and you think of a greater impact on society.
Fantastic. As you know, we are exclusively speaking to you on Women's Entrepreneurship Day. Michelle, how would you describe the current state of women entrepreneurs here in India?
Firstly, I don't think that we should segregate a woman leader and a man leader. It's one. A leader is a leader. And the same goes for both. I think, and I was also thinking to myself that for generations on end, we've had women leaders in politics. England was ruled by a woman. And we also had great Indian politicians who were women. And it's always been an acceptable thing in politics. Yes, nowadays there have been many women coming up in companies, and I think the same goes for, points that they should have as leadership qualities as it is for a man. Um, a woman has a challenging task because she's both. She has to have the soft side of looking at her family and her home, but then so she has to think with her heart and she has to think with her head. And she has to use her business acumen and her head and her strength in her work. And I think that we are great multitaskers because we have to carry everything together. And it's a great thing that women have come into positions of power.
Now, you don multiple hats, Michelle, from managing a business to your passion for the arts. It's very inspiring. But what would your advice be for women leaders, who are looking to make a mark in their fields, or women entrepreneurs who are looking to grow their businesses?
I think you need to be fearless. You have to believe in yourself and you have to believe in your dream. And, everything, when people see it from the outside, sometimes they think, oh, you had it easy, everything's smooth sailing, and you've never had a, bump in the road. But that's not the case for anyone. And I think you have to be resilient, you have to be determined, you have to believe in yourself, and you can achieve anything you want to.
Fantastic. Michelle, do you have a personal mantra or formula for success?
So I think the success of a leader is not your personal success, but the success of your team and how you're able to carry your team.
Right, and before I let you go, the theme for our show this season is Powering Entrepreneurs for the Global Stage. So tell us finally, what advice would you give to Indian entrepreneurs who are looking to make their presence felt globally?
I think that as Indians, well, I'm just generalizing, of course, but as Indians, we have a culture to work very hard. We've seen our parents work hard, we've seen our grandparents work hard, and we are always willing to go above and beyond. If you see, even in smaller businesses, I'm not always talking about large enterprises, people who migrated abroad, say Indians or others, when we went there, we were willing to take the jobs that other people found difficult, and they were willing to go the extra mile, which some were not willing to do. So I think that is a very positive trait of our country and our community. We are also very flexible as people, and we understand global markets. We are easily integratable, and we are able to integrate ourselves into global systems. And we are also now very into quality, sustainability, and we have some very intelligent people here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, Michelle. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you very much for having me.
With that, it's a wrap on this episode of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. We hope you enjoyed our special edition of Women's Entrepreneurship Day. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.